Hi guys, it's Kat Martini, your XPW TV champion, and I'm here to tell you that you better be listening to Uncorked with Kit right now.
Well, howdy everybody, this is Kit Osborne. You're listening to Uncorked with Kit. I'm on my way home from the gym. I was just in the sauna and I'm still, I didn't have a chance to get a shower because it's Friday and I had no idea that they just fucking close an hour early. And that really pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm okay. I'm dealing with it. I'm gonna get through this. But anyway, so I'm just like, a sweaty pile of shit in my car, and it's fogging everything up. But it's also like 20 degrees out, so, well, I guess I gotta pick my battles. Anyway, you know what really, honestly, makes me so very angry? Is reading up on the dirt sheets about everybody who's gonna be making a surprise appearance, who was caught in this city, what Dave Meltzer learned through fucking nobody, but everybody still, subscribes to his newsletter. Who the fuck has a newsletter anymore? Anyway, it's besides the point. What it really just annoys the shit out of me is just how fucking, it's a way to get clout, it's like, hey, I want to ruin the surprise. I know that so-and-so was in the airport, and in real time I decided to post it, and then I asked him what he was doing. He said nothing, but I knew, and then all of a sudden you have enough credibility that everybody's going to start believing you. It's just like why I get all my information from some old guy at a bar, and then I just retain it, and then I spit it out to others until somebody, corrects me. And it takes that, and that's what happens with everybody in the dirt sheet. So maybe I'm in the wrong, business, by being a wrestler, or at least trying to be one. And I should just start acting like Dave Meltzer, and just get more followers that way by just lying and saying, hey, you know what? I saw Ric Flair doing chin-ups, and he said he was in for one more run. The Undertaker, he just bought a leather jacket at Wilson Leather, and I saw him, so that must mean that he's coming back, for WrestleMania, and he's training hard. I don't fucking know. It's just, it shouldn't bother me that much. I shouldn't even really be talking about it, because at the same time, I'm still going to be, reading up on it and ruining the pleasure of professional wrestling, because that's just what kind of a person I am. I am all talk and no action, and there's nothing I'm gonna do about it, and I'm just gonna, perk my lip out and just bitch about it on my podcast. Okay. Well, anyway, so as I'm done talking about that and wasting everybody's time, my guest today is Kevin Gill. He has a definitely unique story in his career, not just in wrestling, but in the New York music scene, video game fucking music, and he's, I don't know, I guess you would call him like a part-time juggalo. I don't fucking know how that works. I've never been to any of them, at least not yet, but anyway, this conversation's good. We talk about some heat that he's got, which I had no idea. I mean, honestly, does it matter when it's somebody like Disco Inferno? What the fuck has he ever done? I just have to say that he is one of the most worthless wrestlers I've ever seen. And yeah, part of this is bitter because like I never did anything to him, but like he went all out like when I got hurt and posting it in like 2017 saying that we're all reckless. It's like, dude, mistakes happen. There wasn't that many people in the crowd, so stop acting like, you know, it was something that would have been prevented if it was on Nitro in 1997. All right, well, that's enough of that. I'm not here to get heat from him, you know, and maybe it was just, maybe that's me, and he's actually a really nice guy. I don't know. That thing rubbed me the wrong way, and that was like 6 years ago. So I just push it down, and then just one day I'll die. So that's pretty much how I handle any negativity, especially if it's towards me. So anyway, it's one of the things we talk about. And all around, I make him drink a whole bottle of wine, and we have some good fun here, and he has some good stories and some good shows up ahead. So anyway, enjoy this conversation on Uncorked with Kit with Kevin Gill. My friend Kevin Gill, thank you for coming on to Uncorked with Kit on your busy schedule. Look at you. You even went with it. You know, everybody I always interview always ends up fucking like doing their own thing. Like, you don't really drink wine. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't care. That's fine. You know, if you want to smoke, if you want to drink a beer, you know, but I'm just always happy that somebody went above and beyond for me to go and get a bottle of wine. You know. So today, what I'm drinking is this like French shit that I didn't even buy. I got it as a gift. So that's how much I care. So this
Same.
happened.
Well, today I specifically for this encounter sought out a Beaujolais, a French Beaujolais, and I'm not a super wine guy, but I've always been a fan of the Beaujolais. I briefly worked in the liquor industry, and I got brought to a lot of tastings and these giant liquor industry events with like unlimited everything, and you know, I picked up a few tastes along the way.
It's funny. I mean, this is also a French wine as well. It's like my favorites, but this is like a red. I've been drinking a lot more white. But, you know, I mean, at the end, what I noticed with like wine tastings is that I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. Like I have this show. It's called Uncorked with Kit. And, you know, you would think I would have this knowledge of wine. And I do to a degree, but I cannot tell you the difference between some cab from 1989 that would be, you know, versus some barefoot wine that would be the same.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes a $2 chuck from Trader Joe's seems indistinguishable from a $40 bottle at your local Italian bistro. But I
Yeah.
digress.
I mean, I think I just base it all off on you know, the hangover the next day. If I don't have one, I guess that's a good wine.
Yeah.
Or one that I'm going to buy again.
Good enough.
You know,
I love to cook with wine as well.
Oh, I do. Yeah, me too. You can make like a really good like what is it, like with a, you can make like a good gravy or something like that with it. It's endless possibilities of wine, especially red wine. But you know, it is what it is. Oh, I love it.
Get those visuals in effect.
It's that sound of alcoholism.
It's an ancient craft. Think about that. People back in the day, they had fucking nothing, and they figured out a way how to make this shit to fucking alter their minds and fucking relax after a day of having nothing but like rocks and dirt and grass, like very fundamental, basic shit. Lamb skin, whatever the fuck. They had no iPhone. They had no Spotify. Shoes, come on, man. They were lucky if they had rope.
I know. But damn it, they know how to get fucked up, you know.
They figured it out. All of them did. And the same isolation and weirdness created pretzels as well, which are often the perfect accompaniment to drinking.
Pretzels. I love it.
It's true.
To pretzels.
Cheers. Here's to the monks that made them.
This isn't that bad. This isn't bad at all. Ooh. Let's see how it makes me feel later. Because right now we're filming this, recording this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is just prime red wine time. You know, before it gets dark at like 4. You know, and it's a to finish an entire bottle on a Saturday afternoon, and then just make horrible decisions for the later that night.
Why not? It's a day off for me, and an opportunity to chop it up with Kid Osborne over wine. Come on.
Yeah. Oh my God, what are we gonna
People
talk
would
about?
people would pay for this opportunity.
I wish they would pay for
More in
this.
demand than a dinner with Schlack.
Oh, that's a tough one, man. I mean, have you ever had dinner with Slack? Because I tell you, like, I love watching him eat. And then one of the things that I remember, it was him and I got like dinner after something, and we go to Outback, and we went there, and because he has to have his steak, and I'm like, all right, yeah, like, well, let's get a couple beers or whatever, and he doesn't drink yet. And I'm like, dude, why aren't you like? Not that I care. I'm like, well, why aren't you drinking, man? I just like had this whole beer. He's like, because it's gonna ruin the taste of the steak, And I was like, what? And I was like, he was like, you didn't know that when you drink it, it ruins like your palate. And I was like, oh. And now every time like I eat, I like make sure I eat first, a little, first before I ever start drinking. And it's all because I learned that from Schlack. And it might not even, I didn't even know it may or may not be true, but I just take it as fact, like I do everything else I learned from like at a bar.
Right. And Schlack is quite knowledgeable about more subjects than people
Yep.
might think. Plus, with him, that's one of the few things he has in life is steak 8 times a day. So
Yeah.
whatever he could do to maximize it, he's gonna get squeeze the most out of it.
Like, yeah, steak and like 30 eggs, and he doesn't need to season anything. He just you just choke it down. But I guess he goes to, I love that guy. That's all I could say. He's just one of those. I don't think if I never was involved in wrestling, and I ever walked by him or anything, I'm sure, I always be friendly, but I never would have thought like some of the best friends I made in wrestling were going to be the guys that have tattoos on their face, and
Right. And look like a mutant as
yeah.
a gimmick, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like they're the nicest people.
Yeah, like how does that guy buy a suit? Like, like
Oh man, yeah, I've heard stories, and obviously I've witnessed many, like sharing a house with Schlack, like on tour, like Airbnb type accommodations, and you just go in the bathroom and there's eggshells and stuff around from like raw eggs he was eating while he was in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like it's
oh my God,
a
what a
constant work in
multitasker.
progress. Yeah, he's constantly getting his protein.
Oh God, that dude.
But you have to look and act that way. He's just, raw protein.
Yeah, you don't just wake up and look like Schlack. Like you have to work towards it. Like, you have to really try it. Like otherwise he'd probably look like some fucking nerd. I can just picture what Schlack would look like. No tattoos, didn't work out, and didn't eat the way he does and didn't live his life the way he did. And I just go, I bet you his head would be a lot smaller. And and he would be probably the most boring person.
You never know, man. It's hard to even imagine the bizarro world Schlack, if you will.
God. So actually, let me ask you, because how long have you been in the wrestling business now? That from being like a fan, like it's just
Sure.
like me being a fan to then finally going and training and be a wrestler or whatever. It's like being a fan for like 15 years growing up and then finally doing it.
Yeah, I was a fan forever. I started doing stuff in wrestling. Like I did commentary for a show, a couple of shows, or a couple of like, how do I say it? It was E3, the video game convention.
Oh God, yeah.
And we did like several backyard wrestling. We had a ring and everything, and we had like Super Dragon, M Dog Mac Cross, Madman Pondo, all these different people wrestling. And we did several rounds of it. So there'd be a show at 1 o'clock, at 4:30 and at 7 or whatever. So I did commentary on all those. And then
How did you get in that?
That was funny because I had come up with the idea to do the backyard wrestling video game. So in working on bringing the video game to life, one of the you have to have a big trade show presence. So I thought of like, why don't we have hardcore wrestling at this state-of-the-art video game convention where, like, literally in the other booth, it's Vin Diesel is appearing, and these people have these models, and we have Madman Pondo and Super Dragon. You know what I mean?
I mean, they both kind of seem pretty equal to me. You know?
So once it was literally on the fly, like the show, I was the ring announcer and I introduced the wrestlers, and then it started. And the audience is such a casual audience; they're just video game industry people, so they're just watching and they kind of don't know what's what and whatever. And I leaned over to the lady that a lady that I work with that like I ran the wrestling part of our booth, but she ran the whole booth, you know, the whole massive thing IDOS had there. And
Okay.
I was like, it's like it needs something. And she's like, yeah, it's like it needs commentary. And that's what I felt like it needed too. But I didn't want to be like that person who put myself all over the show that I was putting together. Do you know what I mean? I thought I filled the spot as a ring announcer and it's built in. But then it was like, it felt like it needed commentary. So just on the fly, I started calling the matches and, you know, bigging up the heels and bigging up the baby faces and kind of, you know, burying the heels a little bit and educating the audience as to what's what. And it's over the PA commentary. So it was able to get the audience more drawn in and engaged and get them loose and yelling at the wrestlers and that sort of thing. But that was just like a one-off. And from those experiences and meeting all those people, though, I got an opportunity to be a referee, and I got a very little bit of training from Vampiro and Madman Pondo. Well, Vampiro and ICP, and a little bit of Madman Pondo, just in like an afternoon and an evening at this bar. Well, Pondo did it at the venue. The Vampiro and ICP did it at a bar.
This is for was this for Juggalo?
Yeah, for Juggalo Championship Wrestling. So the first match I ever refed was in like hundreds, if not over 1,000 people, like at this Mexican music and culture festival that had nothing to do with. It was somehow put on by ICP, this wrestling part, but it had nothing to do with ICP. It wasn't branded as ICP, and they booked me to be the ref. So I just studied up on tape a lot. You know what I mean? I always was interested in what the ref did anyway, because it was, you know, it's just one of those things if you watch wrestling like obsessively. So I studied the different styles of refs and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But that led to a bunch of refing, and then I think it was in 2007 I did commentary again, and this time it was for a DVD, and it was me and Lars Fredrickson did commentary for a memorial DVD for the late DJ Riz. And that led to me then getting to do commentary for ICP and with ICP. And that was kind of then, I guess I consider like the earlier stuff I just did like, you know, on the spot commentary or whatever. But I feel like from the referee stuff in like, I guess was like 2004 or 5 onward, I guess is kind of my wrestling run.
Okay. And, you know, to go back, like with being a ref and like studying for it, I know that you know, people, they sleep on, you know, what they have to do. Like it's one of the most important things. You can't have a match without a ref.
Right.
Otherwise it's just an unsanctioned fight. But they also, as important as they are, and they're the ones that, you know, like they're the, like how do I put it? It's like, you know, if I'm hurt and the ref's looking at me, he's like my telephone, you know, to talk to the other guy. And then at the same time, he's got to he's there with us in this dance, but he's also the one that's not supposed to be seen, you know?
Right. And his
timing,
his or her timing has to be impeccable as well. Like the timing is everything, and little missteps or whatever, being in the way, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I love just looking at the different styles, like Tommy Young, and how like a Southern referee was different than like a 80s Madison Square Garden referee, and different territories refs kind of had different cadences and different kind of styles, and I try to just find one that worked for me. But yeah, I think refs are so important, and some people take it seriously and totally get it, and some people like totally don't get it at all. And it's funny to just see that dichotomy even today, where so much information is available, but not everyone is able to like apply it to themselves. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's funny. I was just talking about this with somebody. It's a little somewhat related. Anytime we would have a conversation, me and you, like anybody, and we have like a dispute about something, and how fucking simple it is to just go, well, wait a minute, and then you just look it up, and then that was it. Whereas like before, we would have a whole discussion about refs and how they do it, and we would just, have nothing there, and we would have this whole argument, and that would be the entire 3 hours around a bar. And then we just drop it, and we never know the answer. Like I think like Mark Maron did a skit where he was talking about, well, who invented peanut butter? Like, and he just, who the fuck invented peanut butter? And he's like, that was sort of your day.
Yeah.
And like at the end of it, you have like somebody, like, dude, where the fuck are you, man? Where the fuck are you? Who invented peanut butter? Peanut butter, peanut guy, peanut oil, And then, at the end, he finally goes all the way home from work, and he has like that red light on his voicemail, and he's like, he's like, George Washington Carver, man, George Washington Carver. Holy shit, are you okay?
Indeed, like, George Washington Carver made the peanut great, as the great Run DMC said. So I always know the answer to that one.
Yeah, I know. It's like the only like needless thing I have.
Think of how hip hop has changed from shouting out the man who pioneered peanut butter and turned the peanut into a global industry.
That's how it is, dude. That's why we all put it. That's why you all get that Peter Pan or that Jiffy shit. Well, I'm still here.
Kids living that office life.
Oh, I know. It was my cat here, and I'm just like, oh shit, I had to let it out. Scratching at the door is going to ruin my podcast. You had like speaking of this podcast, which I've been doing for a little bit of over a year. You are kind of like a pioneer of podcasts. Rolling Stone, I guess, considered yours like you're part of the golden age of podcasting. How do you feel? How does that make you age?
I love that Rolling Stone magazine put me alongside. I believe it was like Colt Cabana and Marty DeRosa, and obviously there was a couple other real notable podcasters in that feature they did. But yeah, the idea that they included me, a totally DIY, independent, like no backing, and that I was getting like crazy guests. Like I still think my guest list is unfuckwithable. You know what I mean?
Give me a list of some of these names that are your top.
Oh man, off the top of the head, like Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Mick Foley, MVP more than once. X-Pac like 3 times. Luke Gallows. Bailey, Finn Balor. Enzo and Cass was a short one, but a fun one. Lars Fredrickson, Agnostic Front, Vinny Stigma, separate interview, Sick of It All, the Cavalera brothers from Sepultura, fucking legends, the Rock and Roll Express.
That's awesome.
I could go like literally, it's unreal. Andrew WK, Amigo the Devil, like people from all over music and wrestling, but so many sick wrestling ones. We did like over 150 episodes, so I'm leaving out like Colt Cabana was on it. A lot of people, man. I'm very fortunate to say. Tama Tonga, many more.
Yeah, I mean, even just when you say Mick Foley, and you're just like, dude, the level that he is at, even now, and then you just get for him to like just take the time to work with somebody independent. He might not know you from Adam. I don't know how have you ever met, but I've had the same thing with like I was talking to David Arquette, and he just followed me on Instagram, and I'm just like, dude, is this fucking real? And I just comment on the story, and I'm like, how easily accessible it is to just talk to like anybody. And they may or may not respond.
When you have the same interests,
Right. Yeah. And then like, just talking to him and him possibly doing my podcast, and I'm just like, that's fucking wild. This, like, I literally use my phone.
Right.
And
You're sitting there drinking some wine, writing some shit, and
yeah,
suddenly you're in David Arquette's inner circle with Sean from the hot tub.
right. um, with Ricky Morton, I have to tell you this story. So when we were at WrestleMania weekend, we're in the same locker room, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I'm definitely getting a picture. I'm that guy now where, before I was like, don't take a picture with them because, you're going to look like you're just like a mark. And I'm just like, I am a mark, and I still am. And I'm like, but I
And now
just
you get the picture to remember it by.
Yeah, right. Because I'm like, man, one day, like, we're not going to be able to do this shit, or I'm going to have to do something else, and that's why I'm doing this stuff. I'm like, oh man, I got to have a backing in case one day I can't do it. Because remember, I broke my ankle and I was like, oh, dude, that's right. You're not immortal,
Very true, man. Very true.
But anyway, I would meet Ricky Morton, and I asked him just kind of cut a promo with me, and all I did was he's brushing his hair, and I just go like, hey, let me, I just took his brush from him. I'm like, hey, thank you very much, and started brushing my hair, and he just goes, well, you're gonna look mighty like you're gonna look quite funny with that sticking out of your ass or whatever. And then like from there, like, we exchanged numbers, and then I text them the thing because he thought it was hilarious, and then like in the picture that I have for him is like the Crypt Keeper.
Wow.
Oh man, I don't
I'm
know.
a big Ricky Morton fan. Kerry Morton too.
Say that again.
I said I'm a big Ricky Morton fan and a Kerry Morton fan as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Ricky a lot. Like anytime I text him or whatever, I read it back. I hear it in that Southern twang. That's how I hear it. Oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's such a great dude, man. Yeah, it's such an honor to like. I couldn't believe it that I got to interview him on my him and Robert on my podcast. Crazy.
They're so gracious too.
The Boogeyman, if I can. The interviews I did with the Boogeyman are interviews. That's right, outstanding. Ditto for Paul London. I did a multi-part one with Paul London. Tears were shed. Tears were shed. This shit was so moving.
Oh my God.
I would add, if anyone's a fan of wrestling or Paul London or any of that shit, all these episodes are still out there, and you can see the whole list of them, and blase blah.
Oh. But so yeah, you haven't been doing the podcast lately. I don't remember the last time you did it.
Yeah.
Either.
Same.
Yeah, the life just passes you by every year, dude. I interviewed somebody the other day that I just posted. Her name's Amber Skies, and I was talking to her, and I'm going, like, last time we saw each other, we talk all the time. The last time we saw each other must have been like 5 years ago, and then I was like, wait a minute, 5 years ago was 2017 or 2018, right? And I'm like, so what I meant by 5 years ago, I meant like 12.
Right.
And I'm like, it's
That's
just like
crazy.
passes you by, like,
Yeah, like I was grinding on the podcast for a long time, and I got like accolades, like you said, and I had a growing audience and all that. But it just was so hard to just do it all the time by myself. Like I always figured that one of these podcasting platforms or networks would be like, yo, look at the guests this guy gets by himself, and look at the amount of people that listen to his show. Why don't we just put his show on our network and we'll edit the fucking bumpers together and shit instead of him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I would be doing them. I'd be doing them today. Just sometimes, just the time I want to go through and make everything perfect and like find the perfect music for the intros and the outros and blah blah blah. So if someone else wants to do that instead and do it much faster than me, by all means, I would love to do it. Conrad's listening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm listening to my little show. I have such a simple platform, on it, and I love it that way. That's why it's like fun for me, and I like interviewing people that I find interesting. Sometimes, like, I guess the way I look at it is anything like this is a way for me to get very nice, fill to the top. That like anytime that I get a chance to talk to my friends and I'm doing it over drinking, which is like what I do all the time. It's like, man, why not just put a camera in front of us? Because it's not like behind the camera we're like, these evil pieces of shit that we're not going to say what we really say anyway.
Right.
You know, if we want, like, you know, those, it's not like, you know, somebody that's like, oh man, I love women's wrestling. And then when that camera's off, they just go, man, did you see that bitch? Like, she's like, you know, and then you're just like, oh man, like I want to, so I only want to have conversations with people that I know aren't just putting on a facade and things like that, you know?
Yeah, I agree, man. Pretentious people are the worst thing. People who just pretend to be something. Just be yourself. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if who you are is so bad that you have to hide it, you know, you can. Evolution is a thing. Change is a thing. You could always just keep getting a little better at a time. You know what I mean? Rome wasn't built in a day. Nobody's perfect, and nobody started out perfect. Everybody's a work in progress. So, but
Yeah.
some people put a little more time into it than others.
There, but what I noticed it in wrestling, at least like as some of I've been doing it for a while now, and the people that you cross paths with, that you realize, like, there's that part where like everybody grows, you know, you start learning and learn from mistakes here and there and things like that. But then there's like those people that just stop. They just stop growing mentally, you know, they just get older and they're just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of mentality. And then, you know, they'll say the things that are like, that are risque, you can't say anymore, you know, like saying, you know, like that something's gay, you know, and you're like, dude, it's not a thing that you say anymore, you know, it's come to light that it's more negative than it is just something that you said as a kid and you can't do it anymore. And then there are people that are just like, nah, fuck that, I'm gonna say it. And you're like, okay, let's see how long you last, you know?
Right. And it's just the idea that times change and things change, and even it's not just taste in how people act or words they say. It's music, it's trends, it's food. You
Yeah.
know, things that in some cases things that were wildly popular then aren't wildly popular now. And yes, I understand that some people grew up in a time where they felt like there was instances that, oh well, I'm not saying it to be this or I'm not saying it to be that. Okay, that's great, but that was then, and we live in a different time now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and in other words, what's the downside? Like, oh, well, the downside is I'm just kind of being respectful of people in a way that doesn't infringe on me at all. Like, oh, okay, well, that's the easiest thing in the world. Oh, that makes everyone feel better. Awesome, cool, sounds good,
The
right?
thing,
Like, imagine that if you were like, hey, there's like this one word, and if people didn't say it anymore, it would make a lot of people feel better. Like, oh, cool. Okay. Like that sounds good to me, right? Like
right.
what's the downside exactly? The human language is quite robust with words, you know?
You could, like, I think this is one of the funniest stories. Somebody we know, you know, would say things like, you know, that's gay and stuff like that. And then he realized that he can't say it anymore. And then he just made a new word, or he just changed it, like, you know, what he would say. Cause it didn't obviously mean what what it does now, but he was just changed it to like weirdo. He's a fucking weirdo. And I just go, like, I'm like, that's even better.
Right. Because weirdo just can apply to anyone, and it doesn't negative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's just like
I'm a
such a
big fan of
perfect
that
word.
word.
What a way to like just you insult somebody. It's like, oh,
Brutally,
he's a
yeah.
fucking,
Weirdo is right up there. I'd put weirdo right up there with goof.
yeah. It's some he's a goof, you know. Like I love those fucking words. Like oh man, like if I'm mad at something, or there's somebody that I'm like, I overhear and go, who are you talking about? He's a fucking loser, you know. And I just love that, like, no fucking loser, you know.
It's the non-denominational insult, applies to all people
Yeah.
from all places of all beliefs, just like motherfucker.
Insulting people and bitching and judging are like my favorite things. Like I don't want things to work out for me because I'll have nothing to bitch about. It's like I could win the lottery, man, and in my spiteful brain.
Trust me. You'd win the lottery, dude. You'd be wearing like a fucking glitter tuxedo and shit,
All the
driving around in
time.
a limo. Yeah, like literally just a limo, glitter tuxedo with the fucking bucket, like the bucket of beers from the bar with the ice and shit in it.
Yeah, I would be. Oh my god, I don't know what I would do, but I have like a couple things. Like I'm like, man, you win the lottery, and yet you have, like, let's say it's $1 billion. You end up with 500 million, and I'm just going, well, what would you do? And then my first thought are like about all the things I resent and all the people. And I go, like, Kit, you just won all this money. You don't have to deal with anybody anymore or any negativity. And then I just go, nah, I would buy every wrestling promotion and book myself to win every title and then shut them down.
Shut
and
them
then
all
fill
down.
like my solid gold pool
Trophy
with all the
over.
title belts and break my neck swan diving in it. Like that's exactly what would happen to me.
I would recommend going on like a 6-month cruise, of the world.
Oh my god, that I would love. I mean, that wouldn't even be that much, unless I bought the boat. Like,
Right, it wouldn't cost that much comparatively compared to what you have, and you'd get to go everywhere. You have to make no plans, and you're disconnected enough away that while you can
yeah,
go online and do shit, you don't have a bunch of weirdos sniffing around for that bread.
yeah. It's like the whole point is like you don't want to fucking tell anybody that you win it because you know that right then and there, all the people that that just ignored you that were a lot cooler than you are all of a sudden hitting you up and you're just like, and you go two different routes. You either go the route of, oh man, like this is an accomplishment, like so and so's talking to me, and then you go to the other route is I'm gonna pay to have them killed, like
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, people who pretend they're cool or think that they're cool or whatever it is however you describe it, it's a very strange phenomenon to me. I don't get it. Authenticity to me is everything. That's all you have is
yeah.
be who you are, be proud of who you are. That seems to be a unifying message across all communities and people. So being like a poser or a fucking whatever is like, God,
So
pretentious.
I mean, we obviously deal with it a lot in wrestling. Yeah, we
Put up
deal
the
with it
X,
like
baby.
so much in wrestling. Like I mean, there are people that and promoters that that are so nice to me, and then I hit them up, and like they're just like, nah, I got nothing, like that type of shit. And then you're just like, I know that you have something, like you have something against me, but you like when I'm there, you're a whole different person. You're buying me a beer, you're doing this, and I just like I don't fucking get it. And I'm like, and like that's part of the stress I think in wrestling
For
is you're
sure.
not necessarily the heat with the person. It's trying to fucking understand why. And that's constantly like one of those things that always go through my head. And it's like, yeah, it's easier to just ignore it. And like, I talk about this to like Gage and like he is more enlightening. He's like, it's like you're doing your fucking thing. You fucking like you're doing good, whatever. He's like, I'm not lying to you. I think you're fucking great. I put a word in for you all the time, and then or wherever it was, and then and he'll just be like, I don't get it. It doesn't fucking matter though. And then I was like, I wish I just thought like that. And I know
Right,
he's not saying that. I know he's not saying that from like from somebody who's just doing really well because he wasn't always doing well. So I mean
sure.
he just has like this positive mindset that you wouldn't think that his character like or him like you wouldn't think he has. Like his demeanor comes off as he fucking hates everybody, but really he's like this sweet, you give him an ice cream and he would fucking cry, and like
Yeah. He
and
hates
then
he
obviously
hate he
mess it
hates
all up because he
haters.
can't.
He
Huh?
hates haters. He
Yeah,
hates
he
haters.
does.
You know what I mean? But he loves his motherfucking gang.
Yeah, he does. It's fucking gang. With him, man, like him and I would work out. Like I probably will start like hitting him up again, but we would go and we'd work out at the gym and we would stop at like a Wawa, and he would, you know, he would get ice cream or something. Defeats the whole fucking purpose. But he would get ice cream, and then I would say like in the card like, don't fucking drop any of that ice cream with your little child fingers. Like, hey, fuck you. Ain't spilling nothing. And then at the end of it, like I'm about to drop him off, and it's like, like I could hit the brake, and it would just,
Yeah.
and then he would just go, "Hey, Kit, spilled some ice cream on your seat."
Oh my God. No comment.
Oh,
That's
dude,
according to you. I can't imagine Nick Cage doing something like that.
I'm just like, I fucking knew it. I knew
But
it, man. I can't take
but
you anywhere. Like,
but Nick Cage is the man, and like you said, like the way he looks at life and all that is 100% the best way to look at it. And here you
yeah,
are, you're Kid Osborne, you're doing your fucking thing. Some people get it, some people don't, and then it's hard in today's world with you're dealing with your life, you're dealing with trying to do stuff in wrestling. You're dealing with being left on red, if we could use, and I'm dead ass.
Yeah.
If I can get a quadruple useless word multiplier in there. You know what I'm saying? But the important thing is that you are doing it for real. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing is it's not about this bullshit that's in your way, because there's always bullshit in everyone's way. It's all about how you get around it, overcome it, climb over the top of it, break through it, whatever the right motif is, perseverance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just staying with it and sticking with it, because what sometimes people can't see until they're made to see. Some people will never see, but one man's trash is another man's treasure, so to speak. You know what I mean? And where one person is like, oh, I don't have anything. Someone else is like, man, this guy's a fucking dynamo. He's a fucking heat magnet.
Right. It's just everybody looks at things different. Not everybody likes the same flavor of ice cream, that they spill in your fucking car. But that's just the way that it is.
Now, do you remember, for the record, what type of ice cream Nick allegedly spilled or at least ate in your car?
It was like one of those. It was it was a stick one, and I think it was like I don't really remember. I mean, he anytime I've ever hung out with him, he always gets different types of ice cream. But like if it has like sprinkles on it, like he'll lose his mind. Or he can put gummy bears in it. Like that's his fucking thing. The gummy bears. You want to talk about who his fucking gang is, man? It's the
gummy
fucking
bears.
gummy
Lord
bears,
Gummy.
man. He gets to put on his ice cream. Like
I know Nick's a fan of Pop-Tarts as well. Like on the road, you know what I mean? There's usually a Pop-Tarts box in the car in circulation.
You would never have to worry about losing Nick, because he just leaves a fucking trail of crumbs like everywhere he goes.
He's the best.
Oh man. We could have a whole podcast talking so highly of him, and like I know that like like, and I'll text him I'll text him a clip of this, and it'll be like, hey yo, stop fucking telling people about me eating ice cream.
Yeah,
or he'll be like, I don't fucking eat ice cream like that anymore. I'm fucking at the gym. And I'm just like, okay, all right, Nick, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's true. For the record, I have not seen Nick eat a Pop-Tart in probably 8 months.
Yeah.
But
he's
there was a period
he's feeling good, and I definitely you gotta owe it to like Jordan Oliver, they live close, and that's cool, and then he's there with them, so that's a good motivator, and he's a fucking cool kid.
He's a cool kid. He's a wrestling machine. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's going places, and you have that mentorship from a Nick Gage, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I love Jordan, and he's always been like, ever since I met him when he first got in, it's just doesn't miss a beat. Like he's just it's a good relationship with that person, and I'm so happy that he's doing what he's doing. And
he's one of those guys. He's one of those guys too. Like sometimes, we all know in wrestling, different places you might travel to, and you see people that don't fully have their head on straight or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's someone that has their head on straight and is focused on the wrestling. Like he's here for wrestling. Like this is his view.
Yeah, he is. Like he's not
that's a compliment.
It's when I love the activities that we do after shows and stuff like that. But there are those that can't fucking wait for the show to end to do it. And like it gets your head out of it. And the whole purpose of it is that we're not there to be, just this, it's cool as shit to go out there and then people want to get a picture with me and stuff like that. It's awesome. But like before that, if you don't have that little bit of nervousness right before I go out, whereas like I'm worried about the performance I'm going to have and the story I'm going to tell and whatever, and that everything goes well, and then obviously I don't die, which is really not number one, depending on who I'm working with, I guess. Then, and your head is just immediately like, well, what bar are we going to afterwards? Who's got the good stuff, and things like that. Then that just really means like you might as well just be a fan, and that's it. Like you're not worried about like if you're doing commentary and you're going to be doing commentary with somebody and you've never done it before, and you're like, well, what's our chemistry going to be like? Is he going to try to like outwit me, or is he gonna like is he gonna be too overwhelming that he's gonna ruin the fucking show? Like, dude, I'm not gonna lie, and I want to talk about GCW.
Shoot on it, brother, please. You can shoot on it better than I can.
Is that like I would watch shows with Jimmy, and like Jimmy loves, like, if I don't see him, for a while, like right now, like I've taken this hiatus from wrestling, and the reason is because I found out I have I post, like, this is my last podcast, but you may not have heard it yet. Is just that I took a hiatus because I was wondering what was wrong with my autoimmune system, and like there's something's off. I'm getting like these weird dizzy spells and shit, and like my hair was falling out. Like my hair is like, I thank God I have so much of it. I'm sorry. Yeah, all right. And it was falling out, man, to the point where like I was that close to just shaving it because I couldn't figure out what's going on. This isn't some male pattern thing. And then I go and I go to a doctor. I find out I have lupus. So,
oh my God.
But because I guess because I caught it so quick, is that it's not systematic and it was just in my skin, and that was why. And then something must have happened that this started falling out, and like, obviously like little things
like
are happening.
Early warning type of thing.
Yeah. So anyway,
Wow.
I got it figured out since then, and I'm like going to the gym and I'm like figuring it out, but I'm taking Donald Trump's fucking hydrochloroquine every day. I have this real big urge, to vote Republican,
What does hydrochloroquine do for you?
Well, at first it makes you fucking dizzy as shit, tired, really fucking tired, and like I was aching and stuff, and little things like that. Like I have like carpal tunnel, but it's not like a big deal. But it was like I was just getting like it's inflammation and stuff like that, and you're like, what the fuck? And then like all of them are the side effects of it from like the first couple weeks, and then only now is it like really working to my advantage, and finally like, holy shit, I feel a lot better. I can go to the gym. I don't have any pain at all whatsoever.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm happy about that. And so I'm going, I'm gonna try to go and train a little because I haven't been in the ring in a while. But anyway, like during this time, like I wouldn't only see Jimmy, he would come over, we'd watch shows like GCW, and not even just his matches, because I always ask, I want to watch his because I'm with him, and and I know that he loves it, and he loves watching me watch it, like I'm watching it and I can just see like in my peripheral vision, just like
right.
Picture like you're
to
like
see Eddie. Yeah, he's studying you. He's stoic like a sloth. You know what I mean? Just But
like I'll be watching his match, and then I'll look at my phone. Hey, and I'm like, okay, all right. I'm just checking my fucking text, dude. Like your match is like 30 minutes. God, give me a second.
Hold on, the fourth poison rat. The fourth poison rat is the one to see.
But we would watch it, and he was like, "What'd you think?" I'm like, "I thought the match was great. I wish we watched it on fucking mute because like and it's not you. This is I'm not gonna name who it was, but I'm just like listening to them commentate, and like they are so bad, and they're taking away from the importance of Jimmy making the cover. Like, holy shit, he's got to cover him right now. He's got to cover him right the fuck now. And then if he doesn't do it, and then they're just going off about like that was such a cool move. Did you guys like see that he did that before a couple weeks ago? And you're like, dude, you just took me out of the tone of the match is fucked up now. Like now it wasn't even that important. It was like you knew that they were going to kick out because you knew the finish or whatever. And like that is what takes it away. It's like, you have to have that Jim Ross, just like cover him, make yourself a star, Jeff, and like that type of like, importance in there, but they just, it's not there sometimes. And I only noticed it like in a few matches. It wasn't always GCW. I was just one time, I guess. But I wanted, because we were talking about commentary and everything like that. When you started doing it, you have to do it with like guys like Foley and Matt Stryker. Like, is there anything that you learned from them that kind of changes maybe not even just them, but I mean anybody that you've worked with that it's changed your mindset on how you do it and like the tone that you have.
I think it's like an osmosis kind of thing. I think just from being around different people, because like I was really influenced by, well, as a fan, of course, I was, of course, every great commentator, you know what I mean? Jim Ross, Gordon Soley, Joey Styles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon and Bobby Heenan and Jesse Ventura
Yeah.
and Gorilla Monsoon and Mean Gene and on and on and on and on and all across all the territories and regions. But then for me as a commentator, I think, well, one, I know Stranglemania. Like I got a copy of Stranglemania that, which is like the King of the Death Match from Japan, with ICP doing commentary over it, that came out in the late 90s. And at my independent record label that I did, I got like an advanced copy of it through my intern, Tom Natale. Shout out to him. And this fucking VHS tape blew my fucking mind. And the commentary on it blew my fucking mind. So it was around that time too that then I became aware of ECW as well. And I started going to ECW all the time. So
Yeah.
Joey Styles and that Stranglemania style and the style I grew up with, plus that, you know what I'm saying, the modern WWE
Right.
style and all that stuff just coming together to me kind of became the influence. Like you pick up different things from working with people, just seeing how they do it, you know what I mean? But commentary is one of those things. John Cena, my friend John Cena had a tweet had a tweet today that was something like, the most critical people are the observers. Like the people that do stuff are inside. I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, the people that do stuff are inside an arena, and I mean that's meant figuratively, like where they're seeing all the different pieces and how a whole thing comes together, and realizing what it all takes, how it all works, seeing it from all the perspectives involved to what they're trying to achieve, and then how an observer of this, but not a participant, has the most criticism, and that you should consider that
Right.
accordingly. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
They
That comes
almost
to
look
mind.
at it like they're playing The Sims, and you have this third person point of view where you are God, and you're looking at it and you're just going, I can control him. And no wonder why he's going to be this success. It's because you're not the one doing it, POV, and like that seems to
Sure.
be, that's always the
And
issue, but it's hard to put themselves in that.
yeah, and it's like with everything. You talk about the 31 flavors at Baskin Robbins or whatever, but no matter what it is, there are people that just don't like certain things, and they're never going to like it. And I've
Right.
seen people that I guess used to post about how I'm the worst commentator ever and I should like be eviscerated or whatever. Now posting
That was what I was going to title this podcast.
but some people that did that now post that I brought something to the show and it's missing without me. And it's like, well, one, at least dude, honestly, that's growth, or at least reading, always taking a current reading of the environment. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
respect that, like, because you're looking at things, you're at least giving things a fair view, so to speak. You know what I mean? Instead of just having one set decision up front that you stick with forever, you might be like, oh, but it's just kind of, yeah, it's a strange situation. I've always tried to, one thing I've been complimented on by people like Mick Foley, by people like Matt Stryker and Vampiro and Lars Fredrickson, and almost every commentator I've ever worked with, they've put over what a lot of them have pointed out that they feel I have unique, untrainable attributes that inject an energy and a spirit into a match. Of course, it's all about the wrestlers. The wrestlers are doing the match. They're risking their lives. They're the stars. They're all that shit. But it always lives on to a much bigger audience in the, in perpetuity in the final product. And the telling of those stories, the emphasizing of who the characters are, knowing when to say something and knowing when to say nothing is so important. And
yeah,
even now, like, it's gotten to the point where people just make sounds, and that sounds are not commentary. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to either paint the picture or you have to capture the energy, but you can't just make sounds.
you're what you said about just the silence. Like, if somebody grabs a microphone and then they're talking, and I like on countless independent shows that I've watched where they're fucking talking over them, and it's like, I get it. in their head, I know that a commentator or the one that's doing it doesn't think it's like professional to just shut the fuck up, like, you know, mid sentence, and you're just like, you know, and you can, like, it's okay. Like me and Gene, for example, I think is perfect. He's such an off the, you know, what's it called?
Off the cuff.
Yeah, like off the cuff, where it's just something just happened to him and he's reacting like that wasn't what was planned, but it's fucking happening. The cameras are rolling, so he just goes, and he's in mid sentence. He goes, "Well, I'll finish after this," you know, and then and whatever, and then you're just like, okay, now I'm focused on this. I'm not focused on like, but now like not only am I not listening to like the commentator, because in my head I'm just like, shut the fuck up, I can't hear him, and then it takes me away from whatever he said, and I don't care about what the commentator said, and then it just goes, well, now I don't even want to fucking watch this, you know, and then that's it. And I go, so that importance of like knowing when to be quiet is like lost, you know. It's like, dude, you're not the star, you're complimenting the two in the ring the same way that the ref is not the star. Yeah, he is complimenting the two in the ring, because without you two, you know, without you two, then the match is just a silent match that has no build to it. Like constantly reminding me the feud that they had, you know, in the match, like the way that they're looking at each other. Man, they look like they're mad. Like that's all me as a viewer is seeing it, because I don't know their backstory. But while they're staring at each other, you don't, you know, that's your time where you can talk and you can tell me what happened to these two and why they are looking at each other like they're really fucking gonna kill each other. And then I just go, holy shit. And then that makes me want to go back and watch whatever the fuck happened. And then now I'm invested, and now I'm buying one of their t-shirts, you know.
a lot of people want to read the notes that they wrote on the air, but they don't want to call like what the people are fucking seeing.
Yeah.
What I try to focus on like a laser is I call what the people are seeing, and I try to see it through a filter of the audience is a diverse audience. There's this amount of people that have watched every show from show one, and then there's this amount of people that are like, hey, I watch it a few times a year or 6 times a year or once a month, whatever. So you have to be able to talk to all of them at once. So if you talk in a way that only works for the person that watches every show from year one, day one, none of the people, the much larger audience who are watching, are gonna fucking get it. And yeah, it's so important to give them that fucking magic, you know. And one thing I'll say is that there is a unique challenge on the indies, and I'm not suggesting that this is why other people talk over the announcer or whatever, ring announcer or whatever, but a lot of times I've been on shows where the person who's cutting the promo in the ring on the mic is not audible to the people at home because of production or whatever. Right. And then I'm trying to, so if they're like, I've been champ for 300 days, I'll be like, 300 days is champ. Like I'll try to, and that's perfect as like a translator, just because sometimes I don't know if it's coming through, or especially if I know there's been any issue, I'm going to try to punctuate in openings and then recap as soon as it's done to make sure that it got out.
Yeah, but there, you know, what you just said was perfect. Is that me as a viewer, and let's say hypothetically I can't understand what that person's saying. I can, but it's hard to make it out. And then, you know, or he's been champion for like this amount of time, and I don't care. Like as a viewer, I'm like, well, I mean, how important like is that? Is what might be what's in my head. But then you now are not just a commentator; you're a fan. Like you're the fan that I'm hanging out with, that watches it religiously or whatever. Right. And then I hear you losing your fucking mind over this, and I go, oh shit, it must be a pretty big fucking deal. And now I'm invested in it. Like, and it's just like a subconscious thing that, you know, my excitement is now raised because of the person that I'm with, which is you on commentary, and you're not just telling me what's happening, you're watching it with me, and that's like, I'm watching it alone, but it doesn't feel like it because Kevin's fucking losing his shit, and I am now really fucking invested in not only how excited he is, but in like, you know, and how important this may or may not be, but it's now more important than it was a minute ago.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's fucking incredible to hear. You know what I mean? Like, uh, some of my fondest memories are like I've gotten to meet a lot of people at shows, at GCW shows, who would it would be um, a child bringing a parent, it would be a husband bringing a wife bringing a husband, and what they had in common, the person bringing the other person was previously a person that only watched wrestling by themselves at home. They'd been doing it that way, and their parent, their loved one, their better half didn't enjoy wrestling. And then, as they started watching GCW, their significant other or parent or whoever in the other room would hear the commentary from what they say. And they would keep sticking their head into the room over time to see what's going
That's
on.
fucking rules.
Then they would just be standing in the doorway. Like I had to see what was going on with this Ricky Shane Page guy or whatever. And these people now were full blown fans. Now the husband has the wife to go with. The son, whose dad never understood wrestling, is now there with the shirt
Oh,
on.
that
Like,
fucking rules.
and to me, dude, nothing. Anyone could say whatever they want, do whatever they want. Nothing will take away those unsolicited stories. And like the people sometimes they almost act like they're inconveniencing me by telling me the story, and it's like you don't understand. Like for all the bullshit that people have to deal with and whatever, to know that like your dad or mom or husband was in the other room hearing me going fucking off about what was happening and it getting to the level where they couldn't stay in ear range but not eye range, and now they don't miss a show. Like
That's
that's
so
the
cool.
ultimate. And Jim Ross, to give Jim Ross his credit too, because we didn't really say his name earlier. Like when I was a kid and cable came to Queens, New York, I got to watch fucking everything, dude. Cable. There was a time where there was you would hear about cable in other places like Long Island, but in Queens there was no fucking cable. So when cable came out, there was like for my neighborhood there was like 40 hours a week of wrestling on cable, including the UWF from the from the
Okay.
South region, so on Tempo Television. So I watched UWF fucking weekly. Jim Duggan versus Ted DiBiase, Tuxedo
Oh,
Street Fighting,
jeez.
coal miner's glove match. You know what I'm saying? Like just and Jim Ross is there fucking murdering it on the microphone. You know what I mean? Like that's the work that got him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Young Jim Ross talks fast as shit. like, and like, I mean, like right now, like he kind of he's doing it still, but he's kind of a little bit of a parody of himself, and why not? Fuck it. Like everybody knows him as by God, but like him when he first got to the WWF, when I first ever heard him, well, I heard him years later, but like the first time I ever saw Jim Ross, or I'm sorry, I always saw him on Raw. Like the first time I was really watching Raw religiously on like in 97, 96, 97, Jim Ross is obviously he's wearing the cowboy hat and all that shit. But when I watched Mania 9 and I'm like watching this guy, I'm like, yo, hey, slow down, youngster. I can't fucking keep up with you.
I gotta go back and watch it. He's such a god, though, man. I remember one year, him and his wife, rest in peace,
Yeah.
Jan Ross. She passed away, but before she did, she was with Jim at the Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas, and he was honored. I'm pretty sure he was honored that year. If not, he was inducting someone. But either way,
Yeah.
he was, being honored. And I'm there chilling. And it's unfortunate because it's Cauliflower Alley, so like it's all old school and whatever, and everyone's real relaxed. So if you're just there chilling, like I was there chilling, and then I was talking with Raven one year, and then Steve Austin came over, and then me and Steve Austin and Raven are talking for a minute, and then I just let them talk for like half an hour. Then I cruise back quickly through for the quick photo, Steve-O. But because you don't want to infringe on people's time, but then
Right.
I'm standing there. And I
that
see
moment
this,
alone
like,
is just the tits to me. Like, like I'm a fan. Like I would, like I think of like a Kevin Owens just wrestling him, and then I go on, dude. At no point in the middle of that match, you don't fucking look up at the spotlight and go, holy shit, I'm wrestling like my favorite fucking wrestler right now. But anyway, I'm sorry. So you're apologize.
Oh wait, what was I just saying
You
though?
were talking about Steve and Raven
Oh
talking, and
yeah.
then you.
So like the opposite of me quickly being like, first of all, you guys, these guys know each other and don't get to see
Right.
each other. Let me fucking bow the fuck out, and then let me take one split second to be like, Baba, and then leave. So then I see poor Jim Ross is like, now the people have the wrestling encyclopedias and all this shit there now. So there's like 10 of them. He just finished eating dinner at Cauliflower Alley, and he can't even like get out and up from his table because these people are all
Yeah,
getting
they're
their shit. So
punishers,
it's like,
man.
yeah. So I'm not even trying to. I love Jim Ross, and I would love to shake his hand, but I was like, I'm not. I see them punishing him. I'm like, I'm not going to bother Jim Ross. And I
Yeah,
see his poor wife Jan is just standing there like waiting for all these people to stop punishing her husband. So I know who she is, so I introduce myself to her, and she's a delight. Me and her chop it up for like 25 minutes
that's
because
awesome. Yeah,
we're both going to the same event next, but she has to wait for Jim. So I was like, well, I'll chop it up with you until, you know what I mean, he's ready. This way you don't just have
right.
to stare at his back. And she's like, oh, the worst is when they try to cut in between me and him to take a photo. But so me and her
Ah.
chop it up, and then finally he's like, get me the fuck out of here or whatever. And like, so we're walking, and she's like, Jim, like you got to meet my friend Kevin, and he's like still in get me the fuck out of here mode.
Yeah,
So,
he's like, I don't give
and
a
I
fuck who Kevin
yeah,
is. Like, it's
exactly. And I'm signaling to her like, no, like don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't.
yeah,
In other words, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but just helping you guys escape means more to me than Jim Ross shaking my
right,
hand. So it's fine. And
dude.
then
Uh,
I help him escape, and he's like, I got, he had to use the restroom or whatever, but she was just like, oh, Jim, like Kevin was a gentleman, and he kept me entertained while these guys, and he's just like, thank you, Kevin. And he's just, get me the fuck out of here. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. He's like,
Not
yeah,
to
yeah.
me,
Thanks,
but
Kevin.
I'm
All right,
like,
whatever. Good.
yeah,
But
but
dude,
God bless
one of
him
the
and God
things
bless her.
I'm not famous by any means, but when I would go, I haven't gone to a GCW show in a while, but like if I'm not even on the card and I'm like I debate on if I want to go or not, if I don't have anything that weekend, um, but I'll go to like AC or whatever. And like the one thing I finally realized is like I'm over enough that when I am not behind the table or behind the curtain and I come out, people want to fucking go up to me and that's fine. That's so fun. Like I love it. But I hate being fucking touched. Like I didn't realize how much I hated it unless it was like if you came up and be like, hey pal, I'd be like,
Sure.
oh Kevin, what's going on? No big deal. But like when it's somebody that I don't fucking know you, man, like all you do is comment on my shit, and like, and that's it. And like, that's cool. And I appreciate your and I appreciate you want a picture and all that.
Sure.
But it's like, I know I don't have that vibe of like put me in a headlock, and nobody does that, but it's that. And then some of like the girl fans that are just like they just like touch me, and you would think, I know that it sounds like a little like come on, really, and you're just like, no man, when you're getting touched by like 15 people in the span of like 5 minutes, you get like annoyed by it. And I can only imagine being like a Jim Ross, or like
No, of course. And you're
a
trying to
Steve
eat
Austin,
dinner
who's
or
just
whatever.
fucking walking around like holding his groceries, and somebody just goes, hey, what's going on, man? It's like, yeah, he knows that you've known him for 20 years. He's known you for literally the 2 seconds you were in his peripheral. Like that was it.
The one thing that always blows my mind is, so I've gotten, obviously like you, I'm very fortunate and blessed to have gotten to meet and interact with and hang out with so many people that I look up to, admire, and all that.
Yeah.
And some of it's been through working with them, and some of it's been through people like the first time I ever met Bret Hart was at getting an autograph at an autograph signing. But I talked to him about I talked to him about something that he was interested in talking about. Like I find that sometimes if I'm standing by someone's gimmick table, or if I'm with someone well known somewhere, people will come up and everyone says the same thing to them over and over again, and everyone makes it into this thing about them. Like when I saw you do this promo, like I knew that for me, my
Yeah.
life now was about this,
For
and
me.
here's my thing, and for me, and it's like there's
Oh,
no okay, one, I get it. You're a fan of this person. I'm a fan of this person. They inspire you, they inspire me. But there's no it's like there's no conversation that can come from it. There's no whatever. It's just
Yeah.
like,
There's no
and it takes
bouncing of.
up
There's no
it
bouncing.
takes up time. Like it takes up time in a way. You know what I mean? And people are trying to watch a match or watch a band or watch whatever, and they're listening to the story of literally the, it's like if you're Hulk Hogan and they're like, the time you dropped the leg on the Iron Sheik,
Yeah.
bro, a real American, Madison Square Garden. Like, yeah, I know, man.
He's like, which fucking day,
I
and like,
know.
but he's, yeah, and I
And not
get
to
it,
say
like,
that
you
wrestlers are
like,
ungrateful. You know what I mean? It's just sometimes
yeah,
in
yeah.
certain. Think about
It's
that.
not being
90.
ungrateful. It's not being ungrateful. It's like, you can only put on. Everybody gets. I'm sure Brett 100% gets. He says how much he loves his fans, but he understands that when he has this signing and people pay $50 to get a picture and an autograph with Bret Hart, damn it, he knows that what he's up against. Otherwise, don't fucking do it, And I get it.
Correct.
And like me,
And
I
that's up to the
obviously I don't
people
have to
who
deal. I don't
who
deal with it like
produce.
that.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm saying like that's up to the people that run the event too. A photo op and a signing is not necessarily you cut a 90-second or a 4-minute promo. You know what I'm talking about? Like when
Oh
people
yeah,
go,
yeah, yeah. Like
it's the same as when someone is at a convention and they're like, "Do we have any questions from the audience?" And they're like, "Bret Hart, you won the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, the Tag Team title. You traveled through Canada, through WWE, through the U.S., through Mexico. You did this, you did that. You've had your ups and downs. You've been on television. Who was your toughest opponent or whatever?" And it's like there's always so much exposition, like all this shit that's not a question, and it's like this.
yeah. And then he has to put himself in, and like he's
It's
not
always
normal
them.
anymore. He's like, dude, I can't just turn on and be the hitman, right now. I'm just
Right.
trying to be Bret Hart. I'm just trying to be real. I'm not cutting a promo for you, okay? Unless you have the right amount of money. but that's just, it seems to be like it is. It's just that, and again, it's like, we want those fans. Like I have a friend, a really good friend of mine I went to high school with, and he is a super fan of wrestling. And when he meets other wrestlers, like he meets like Adam Cole, and he brings me up all the time to him. And like
Awesome.
Austin or Adam Cole and I, like, we're friendly, but I haven't seen him in a long time. I think I texted him like a couple of years ago, and we talked for like a little, and that was it. And then, but my friend brings him up. It's like, dude, I think you're the only reason why I'm staying relevant to fucking Adam
Right, dude.
Cole.
Putting me
The
over to
only thing he
everybody.
knows, like, he doesn't
But
watch
no,
any of my shit, and I don't watch his shit either. I
and
forgot that
he's
he existed, to be honest with you, until I happened to see a clip of him, going into the Royal Rumble. Like, this is just somebody that I trained with in 2008, and then from there, I never really saw him that much. But
I
like
got to
those
meet
super
him.
fans though are, they're what keep that kayfabe alive, and they
Yes.
make, like, if to make a fan like that cry or whatever, uh, is like one of the coolest things, I guess. But oh, damn it.
Well, think about it too. Like, but those fans are supporting. That's the magic of it. They
Oh right.
love wrestling. They love wrestling, and they support wrestling, and they use their love and support to try to like will opportunities and things into existence for their favorite wrestlers. They want their favorites and the people they support to do better and be more successful and achieve more things. And it's like that's what fandom is. Like I
Oh yeah.
always like when I started going to live events back in the day as a kid, it would always blow my mind that I'd be standing online and the people talking all around me on the line are just shitting on everything, everyone
Yeah.
and everything. And it's like I always have to bite my tongue, but it's like, why are you here? Meanwhile,
Dude,
I'm here like, yo, man, there's gonna be a show. All
I
right,
swear to
fuck
God, this
yeah.
all goes full circle because we started this conversation with fans are who are the observers are the most critical, and they fucking are, man. Like, they're never happy. Like, I just know
But
that
some are,
when I
but
watch
some are,
wrestling,
some get it, Kip and Kit, and some are fans, like in that true sense. Like I'm a fan, I support it, I love it, I celebrate it. And some are fans, but their fandom is the cool cloak of I hate
They all
wrestling.
want to
Fuck
be
this and fuck
backstage,
this.
man. Everybody,
Right.
their fandom it doesn't stop at the door. They want to fucking be backstage so bad that's why, you know, you have I love Sam Roberts, and I don't think of him like this, but
Sure, he's a contributor to the
no,
game.
not even
you know
Sam
what I
Roberts.
mean?
I'm not. The guy, I love Sam Roberts, and then you know what? He's not even like this. I didn't even
No,
mean him.
fuck
I
Sam
meant
Roberts. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry,
I meant
Sam Roberts.
what's his name? Oh my God, he from the
Sean Ross Sapp.
No.
Sorry.
Well, what the
Fucking Dave
the
Meltzer
king,
throwing
the
out
biggest
the rest,
fan of
tell
them
me their
all.
names.
No, the biggest fan of them all. And who the fuck? Why am I dropping?
My man, the super yoked
Dave,
guy,
Dave,
Meltzer.
Dave Meltzer. Holy shit!
I
Why
said
am
it
I
already.
like? Oh my God! These you know, every fan is trying to be like a Dave Meltzer wannabe. You know, and they all want to I have the inside story. Like it's like, dude, let the fucking story happen. Like the whole
Right.
point of the match, it's like, well, you know, Vince is back. It's like, dude, maybe he is back. Maybe he is back, but it's supposed to be a fucking surprise. You know, like
Right.
I knew that when I was 12 and Shawn Michaels came back in 2002 and his fucking music hit, and I was watching Raw, and Kevin Nash like, there's a new member of the NWO, and I heard that fucking music hit. I shit my pants. It was like the greatest thing that has ever happened to me because in 4 years I haven't seen that dickhead at all. And then, you know, and I finally see it, and the amazement and the shockingness of it. It's like watching The Walking Dead, and then you realize and you learn that your favorite character died, and you lose your mind. And there was no asshole that told you because you watched it live, or you know, you watch it when it
You
airs.
experienced it.
And that's what it's supposed to be, you know. But
Yeah,
but
to me,
now
fandom,
I hear it every day.
sure.
It's like Vince McMahon's selling the company, and I go, he's going to be back on Raw, and I go, well, great, thanks for ruining it, you know, thanks for your you know, doing that. And the only reason you did it is not because you want the world to know. You want the world to know that you know, because you want us to act like you are behind the curtain, and you don't want anybody to have fun. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, you'd
Right, it's
rather
fun.
ruin
This
everybody's
is an
excitement.
escape.
You would rather
This is
ruin
an
everybody's
escape.
excitement than you would, you know, so that you can, you know, get your 5 seconds, you know, and you're not even worth it with your fucking World of Warcraft username, you know.
Yeah, to me, there's so much great stuff out there, and yeah, some people make a living reporting on wrestling, and I salute them. Some people,
Oh yeah,
they don't make a living at all, but they make a nefarious reputation
they
for
don't
being
make a living at
a
all.
sad sack piece of shit, just a nothing, like a jabroni fucking soccer mom hairdo, fucking jorts wearing, and I'm a jorts wearer, but I don't even mean cool jorts, just fucking
Those legs just don't
herbs.
get cold. The
Have
legs
some
don't get cold.
have some self-awareness, because at the end of the day, right, as wrestling fans, as people involved with wrestling or supporting wrestling in any way, 90% of the people on the street think that we're fucking goofs. So
Yeah.
there's no point in any of us attacking each other, because everyone's laughing at us for liking wrestling. We might as well stick to our guns, because none of us are going to stop liking wrestling because of other people. But what if we all stopped attacking the people that wrestle, the people that comment on the wrestling, commentate on it, the ring announcers, whoever, the staff? What if everyone put over what they loved and supported it, and then it would be kind of us versus them, outside world hating on wrestling? Why are we attacking and picking on each other?
You see now how wrestling is picked up immensely. You know, it's not like this underground thing, you know, at all. And I kind of look at myself sometimes, if I get booked somewhere and I'm on go to the airport and I'm wearing my fucking cowboy boots over my jeans and I'm wearing a cutoff inside the Philly airport and I'm going somewhere and I'm just sitting at the bar and it's 11 in the morning. And I don't, for whatever logical reason in my brain, because you're flying, that means that you should have a beer, you know? And that's always it. And then I'm sitting there at the bar and there's a family that's also going, and you know, that's also going to Orlando. And then they go, and then, you know, they go, hey, how you doing? You know, all that. And they look at me because like I just kind of look interesting. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to be? And then I'm wearing my own shirt, you know, and I'm
they're having
like,
coffee and you're having beer and you're on your own shirt.
yeah, I'm wearing my own shirt. They don't know that, but like, I'm sure I'd be very excited to tell them, you know, and they just go, you know, hey, what are you guys going to Orlando for? Like Disney, you know? And then they're just like, yeah, what about you? And I just like, I'm so excited that they asked me, you know, and this is like the first times I'm ever flying. Like, you know, obviously since then it's like, you know, I don't drink right before the flight that often. I wait to get on the plane to pay double the price. So,
well, no, I was going to just say for me, like, unless someone else is buying, you generally won't catch me at the airport buying a drink unless there's like extenuating circumstances like extreme pain or torment or waiting. However,
yeah.
If you get upgraded to first class and then you're getting free drinks or whatever, oh my God, I can't wait. Or even if I'm in
put it
economy
in a
plus
bucket,
and I get
you know?
yeah, I get it. I just take it as like you said, it's chalk it up to the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the little fucking perk I get after having like a whole mountain of shit dumped on me.
Oh God.
I get to have a vodka cranberry with crushed ice at fucking 30,000 feet.
Yeah,
Get to
it's just
selfie with
something
a
like, you
sleep
know, if
mask
this thing's
on.
going down, I'm definitely going to finish this drink first, you know, like,
Yes.
but like, you know, at the airport, just waiting for the plane or whatever. And like that family, it's like, I remember Casso Valentine put it like perfect. And then I really thought about it. I'm like, dude, that's exactly how I was, you know, like you would just talk and, you know, now you want people to know like why you're flying. Like now I don't give a shit, you know, I just go, yeah, you know, I have like a show or whatever. And then you don't want them to ask you. They're gonna, of course, they're gonna ask, "Why? Oh, what are you like a rock star? You look like you play guitar." And I go, "Yeah, and like I'm like a wrestler." And then immediately you go down the rabbit hole. The second you say wrestler, they go, "Oh, I wrestled in college," and you're like, "Fuck!" Like, and now I need a double, you know. And but at first you're like, ask me why I'm flying. Ask me why I'm flying. Ask me why I'm flying. Because I'm a wrestler. Like, you know,
my policy.
I need to fucking wear tights, you know, and like that's
like
the cool thing. And now you're just like,
policy. I have a different policy, related but different. So I like to be nondescript during the travel process. So unless there's been an emergency or something happened, you will never see me in like branded. I don't wear wrestling at the airport. I don't wear concerts. I don't wear fuck.
You're not wearing like a shirt like you're wearing right now. It's just like thrash zone.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like love that shirt. I've been looking at it and I'm like, I never wear yellow, but I'd wear that yellow in a second.
I got this from Kurt Brecht from DRI himself. So thank you, Kurt. I'm a long sleeve fan and I'm a fan of non-black shirts. And this album changed my life. Me and my wife to this day. One of our first dates, we went to see this show. It was DRI Thrash Zone tour with Sick of It All opening, and Sick of It All still some of my best friends in the world to this day. I didn't know them at that time. But I was just a Mizark in the Krizad, losing my shiznit.
God.
But yeah, I do the all kayfabe travel. Like, so the clothes I wear, they don't. Maybe I look weird because I'm me, but nothing says anything on me that says anything. Do you know what I mean? Where other, like you said, no cutoffs, no fanny pack, no words, no blood, sweat, and tears, just none of it. No anything. No bloody faces, no guys in their underwear.
Oh, dude, I don't. We do a whole thing of like after shows, man. Like the amount of times where, hey, yeah, like the show's at 12, your flight's gonna be at 6, so you have to be at the airport by fucking 4:30.
Right, no, yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I just wrestled. I wasn't even first, you know. And then I'm wrestling. I have like a 2-hour gap of being able to like kind of hang out for like a minute. Like obviously you're not sleeping. And then guess what? Oh, we don't have a shower here. So like I hope you brought a towel. And then I bring it. I'm like, oh fuck, dude, I'm bleeding. And I'm like flying. I remember. I mean, they aren't like this normally. It was just a bad flight that I needed to get. And it was a no piece, and I wrestled Marcus Crane. And yeah, I miss him every day. And I wrestled him, and my back is like fucking shredded. Like most of my scars on my body are from Marcus. So even if I wanted to, I could never forget Marcus.
Right, he'll always
ever.
remember Marcus
Like it would be
Crane.
impossible for me to forget him.
Your scars will tell his story.
Yeah, I know. Just look at my fucking back, you know. And anyway, like any girl that I ever talk to, and then they just go, "What the fuck?" And then I just go, "Well, you know, I was in this religious cult, you know, and I was really into it, and I just enjoyed the fucking pain." And to be honest with you, deathmatch wrestling is no fucking real different.
Right? It's very not different at all.
But like I go to the airport and I'm like dripping down. This actually happened. I wrestled Lucky 13 in New Orleans. I was there for 10 hours total.
The great
I
Lucky 13.
Flew down. I got to the room, and then I immediately was like, "We're going to Bourbon Street. I have fucking 2 hours to be able to get a couple drinks and to eat something that has like crawfish in it." And
Cajun,
like, that's
right?
it.
Something Cajun.
Yeah. And I go there, drink whatever, like, and then and you know, so I did that, and then we had our match or whatever. I hung out for like 4 hours before I had to get dropped off at the airport. I get dropped off at the airport. I'm fucking bleh. And then you know, the only like me being there and going through TSA, holding my bag, and I'm wearing my cutoff, and I am literally like dripping blood down my arm, and I didn't even know it. And, like TSA is just like, excuse me, I'm gonna have to put you to the side. And
there's
they're like,
blood,
and there's
like
fucking glass in my back still, and I'm like brushing it off, and they're like, what the fuck? And I was like, it was like a construction accident. Like, you know, I don't know what to fucking say. Like, hey, yeah, you know, I'm a wrestler, and this is what I fucking do, and obviously I don't shower either, you know. And
so wait, on that note, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
We talked in the beginning about when I reffed at that Mexican music festival that El Tri played with Vampiro and all them back in the day, and that was my first time reffing. I had to go to the emergency room that day. You know, you're on the right track right there, because for the main event, there was a title on the line, and unbeknownst to me, the plates of the belt were all bent, like curved, like bent. And so I'm doing the hold up the belt thing like this, and the heel, I think it was actually Man Pondo. Man Pondo.
What a bastard.
does the take the belt, but like he like, you know, just ripped it. He ripped it out of my fucking hands, and that exposed, you know, the turned up plate corner. It's like a smiley face. It cut like a smiley face here on my finger. So I'm the ref, you know what I mean? So I no sell it. And thank God it's at a music festival, because I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot of fucking blood. So I can't stop reffing, and I'm the only ref. So I back up. I see there's a medic from the festival is now by the ring, you know, standing next to the ring, giving me the eye. So I'm still doing ref shtick, and I back up to the ropes and put my other arm out through, and he puts like all this gauze around it, tapes it up. It looks like a tennis ball, like an upside down exclamation point on my finger. And as soon as he puts it on, it just goes, it just turns completely red again, like it's soaked instantly. So I'm like, fuck. So I'm doing a few more things. Yeah, like a microphone, a blood red microphone. So I do a few more things or whatever. I go back to him. He does the same thing again, and now I'm keeping it up like this. You know what I mean? To try to not
just to keep it, oh my God.
So I finish the matches, do all that, and no matter what, it will not stop fucking bleeding, like a lot of blood. Press on it, do this and that, hold it above, like hold it all the way above your head, and then everyone like Pondo and everyone will keep coming over like, what's up, what's going on, what's wrong, or they'll all do it with their hand too to make fun of me, like. But in the end, I wish I could shout them out. I forget who took me to the hospital. Someone finally, and even though we had medics and shit there, they couldn't fix this. So they brought me to the emergency room, and they had to like do these stitches, and they were like, yeah, the way this is torn, they're like, your finger, the skin, there's not enough skin. So when it grows back, your finger's always going to be bent. You know what I mean? Like the skin's going to close the gap, and your finger will be permanently bent. And I'm just like, oh my God, like it's my first time reffing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what a great experience.
Thankfully, I have the weird scar, but my finger works fine. So,
That's good.
but
Oh
just
man,
random. Sorry, I don't know what made me go off on that.
oh
Hey,
dude, I mean,
can we take
it's
like a 1 minute
well,
break?
yeah, it's just that like uh, these weird
Well,
things, but that was just me at the airport, fucking bleeding down and just trying to explain this to somebody.
I've seen it. I've seen like Alex Cologne do a match in Japan and go right to the airport, and I literally can't believe it. Like I've been trying to get in Ubers in
Do
Japan
what you
with
got to do.
wrestlers, and they're like, "Hey KG, let's get this Uber," and I'm like, "Bro, you can't go in the Uber," and they're like, "Why?" And I would have to like put my phone on selfie and then show them, like, "Dude, look, like you're
Yeah,
covered in blood, like you just murdered someone."
dude,
Wait, can we take like
it's
a
like the
1 minute
amount
break?
of times, man, that like I've just left a
Get off.
match and I'm bleeding and I have a fucking thing on here. Like,
I got back here before you, motherfucker.
oh, I love it. I love it. It's like you're being regenerized. You know, it's like the Energizer Bunny, but but it's wine. French
Beaujolais,
wine.
baby. It's that
French
fresh
wine.
wine.
Like,
It's
remember
only available one time a year.
remember in like Better Off Dead when the mother was like trying to accommodate the fucking the exchange student, and she's like, we got everything, French bread, like French fries, and like shit like that, and she's like, okay, and she spoke English the whole fucking time.
I only remember that one. Do you know the one famous line from the movie, the one that's in the trailer? The dude gets thrown into the garbage truck, and the dudes watch it go by on the overpass or whatever.
Well, what did he say? I remember the scene because he just sits there.
Yeah, and he watches them roll by, and he's like, I believe the line is, "What a waste of a perfectly good white boy."
Yeah, I remember. Yes, waste of a perfect good white boy. Anytime any
I mean,
black actor.
he's in the trash. You know
I
what I'm
know,
saying? He's
and he's
been
in that
discarded,
dumpster.
being
Yo,
transported
anytime
now.
in
It's
a
all
movie where like any actor, any black actor says white boy, but they say it white boy, like is like my favorite. Like immediately, I'm like, that's my favorite line in the whole movie. Like, I don't know why.
I gotta watch that
It's
movie
that
again.
white boy. Like,
I haven't
I'm
seen
like,
it in a long
yeah,
time,
that
and I'll never forget
defines.
that scene.
Huh?
That scene in the trailer got my ticket at the box office. You know what I mean?
I mean, in that same movie, I like how we just brought up Better Off Dead, but that dude that was also in he was also in Revenge of the Nerds. You know, the movie where the nerd literally raped a cheerleader and everybody thought it was hilarious, which is another movie that is just absolute. That's why you don't see it on TBS anymore. You know, like the dude.
Oh yeah, because
in that.
he pretended to be her boyfriend in the
Yeah,
dark or whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's rape. that's
Yeah,
rape.
that is.
Anyway,
Things were different in
anyway,
the
get
'80s,
away
but it
from
doesn't make
this.
it right.
um,
Doesn't make it right.
that's a rough crowd.
Great
Is
transition here, Kit.
I
I gotta
know,
say
I
the
know.
wine, the
Hey,
wine. Do you any other like war crimes or crimes against humanity that you want to bring up?
but I mean, these are things that we didn't do.
Correct. Okay, I like it. I like it. I like it.
This was like what was okay in movies that everybody thought was hilarious, and then you just go, yeah, but let's blame Grand Theft Auto, not this
Right.
this
Yeah.
80s comedy in which this
Grand
fucking
Theft Auto
happened, and
did it.
everybody thought it was normal. But anyway, in that movie, Better
the
Off Dead, like
the nerds were getting their revenge. No,
yeah, they really got their revenge already.
good lord, crimes, your felonies,
Oh
felonious murder
God,
assault.
man, geez, I think we're better off making fun of wrestling fans.
We're better off dead.
In that movie, he's like, "This is pure snow, and it's everywhere." Like, and he's like snorting the snow off his top hat. Like, all right, we're done talking about Better Off Dead, that I guarantee the majority of my listeners have never watched, ever,
never seen or
heard
heard of. But
Yeah.
maybe now they'll see it.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
at its time notable.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good one. It's definitely a good one. But oh God. Anyway, I wanted to ask you, what's your relationship now with GCW? Because I haven't seen you.
With GCW, well, I mean, I love GCW, and I don't really know. Like, All I know is that I guess I'm operating it in good faith, and I don't really know what's going on. Like I always felt like I contributed to GCW, not just in a commentary sense, but in
Yeah.
other ways. And yeah, like to me, it's weird to not have me be on commentary suddenly. But I'm not. If I was in charge of commentary, I'd be on commentary. You know what I'm saying? But I'm
Yeah.
not. But in not being on commentary, it means that I'm available for places like Circle Six and their new season called Seven that they're going to be running all around the country starting in January. It
Yeah.
means I can work for Outlaw Pro Wrestling here in Queens and Brooklyn, and Remarkable Pro in Long Island, and Pandemonium Pro in LA, and the Underground Wrestling Alliance in San Jose. Um, Even the Ultraviolet Underground in your neck of the woods. Uh, so yeah, I don't
Oh
really know.
God.
Like I feel like I've always been like a friend and family of GCW and treated GCW the same way. You know what I mean? So I guess maybe the story the maybe upon the conclusion of everything I'll have a better take. But to me, it just makes me feel weird. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because it's not like, in other words, I'm a person that's there. I'm there to put people over and to make sure everyone else has the best time possible, like meaning the fans, whoever, in terms of their seating or whatever it might be, behind the scenes pictures and blah, 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 podcasts. But I just love putting people over, and that's primary. Like to me, I'm not motivated by any other thing. I'm not chasing girls. I'm not chasing a high. I'm not chasing. I mean, again, if you want to buy me a beer or whatever, by no means am I going to turn you down. But you know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm there for. I'm not there hustling and scheming or carrying on. I'm just there to put people over, to be a team player and to represent a brand. And that, as an independent contractor, that goes, I guess, to anybody that wants to roll the dice on KG. People like WrestleCade, who brought me in the first time in WrestleCade's over a decade of events, they ever brought in a commentator, and they chose me to be on Matt Hardy versus Jeff Jarrett and Nick Gage versus George South and all these great matches. So
Yeah.
to me, it just feels like a big validation, because I guess in the bubble sometimes you don't really get a sense of, between like internet weirdos and politics or whatever, you don't even know. Sometimes you're like, oh, like you need outside people to tell you that something is good sometimes to even know that it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, the idea that the moment people got the sense that I didn't have any of, or I had plenty of upcoming dates, you know what I mean? The fact that such a variety of people wanted to book me to be associated with, to be a part of, to do what I do. Also, shout out to Pentagon and Ray Phoenix at the Republic of Lucha in LA, and they did the same thing. Like, so I just love calling matches. I love being a part of it. I love doing it. I'm not opposed to doing it for anybody at any time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out here on the grind. I'm just a person trying to get by and do my thing. So for
Yeah.
GCW, for any company, like I'm down to do stuff, and that's all I can do
I
is
mean,
be
it
me,
seemed.
and be consistent in who I am. Like I'm not a different person today than I was 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm not involved in different things, or you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's a Mad Child lyric. I'm not hard to figure out. You can read me like a leaflet. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Mike Kingston, who does the Headlocked graphic novel series, which is amazing. And I remember he's like, "Hey, KG, I don't mean any offense to you when I say this, but you're not exactly hard to figure out. You wear your heart on your fucking sleeve. Like, it's pretty clear what you're about. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh well, I don't take any insult at that at all. You know what I mean?" And
It's a good fucking thing. Why do you have to be so secretive? Like, what are you hiding? Are you afraid
yeah,
of
I'm not
people?
hiding anything. Coming up in the New York hardcore scene, like I got to be around a lot of legendary people and learn a lot of lessons on the road and at shows and backstage and on the streets of the Lower East Side and all that. But I remember back in the day, Jimmy from Murphy's Law. I was a young fan of hardcore music and a huge fan of Murphy's Law. And then before you know it, Jimmy's inviting me to like come to this show, or hey, we're playing in Connecticut, or hey, do you want to come on the road with us for these couple of shots or whatever? And I remember he taught me something as a kid that always stuck with me is he's like, Kevin Gill, because that's what everyone called me back in the day, just my whole name, Kevin Gill.
I mean, I like that. I like calling you Kevin. Kevin, like that.
He's like, whatever you're gonna do, like, if you can do it, like, meaning, if you have to hide something, then that means there's an issue.
Yeah.
If you be who you are and be 100% upfront and out there and whatever, and anything that you have to hide or keep secret is kind of like not conducive to the whole thing. Like, maybe, in other words, if you can't do it or say it publicly, maybe you shouldn't do it or say it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a philosophy that always stuck with me as a youngster under the learning tree. And things like that just come through in philosophy and even in business. You know, I've gotten to work in a lot of cool companies and work on a lot of cool projects and stuff, and all that shit is based on integrity. You know what I mean? Based on like your word, like what you say has to mean something, and you have to live up to it, even if it puts you out. You know what I mean? Because you gave your word. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're not just playing to the crowd, like you're being you. And I think that's how it should be. I mean, I get it. Like, at least in our wrestling world, like, yeah, I play a character. There's
Sure.
For example, at when I saw you a couple weeks ago when I was in New York, and then I was supposed to be on the show to wrestle, and then I all this shit happened, and then he asked me, he's like, if you want to be on it, or you want to have a cut a promo, you can, and I agreed, and I did. You know what it was? I watched soccer all day, and I fucking hate soccer. And it made me so mad that I watched soccer and I was drinking, and then I was like, yeah, I want the microphone. And then I went to Brooklyn or wherever, and then I cut a promo. And the thing is, the night before I saw Mark Maron, right? And then it was on New Fear City's show. And they just give me a mic and they say, just say whatever the fuck you want. And I'm like, okay, all right, here we go. Let's see what I can do. And I was like looking for like, I was about to drop what was wrong with me, and all that. And then I didn't, because I fucking completely forgot that this crowd hates me. Like, I fucking forgot that I did nothing but shit all over Brooklyn and called everybody hipsters and everything. And I'm only used to, like, if I'm in Jersey, I like, there's certain towns, like, I know I'm good. Like, I mean, in New Jersey, in, like, near Philly area, love me now, and that's weird, and then when I'm in, like, like, if I'm down south or whatever, they hate me. I know, if I'm in, if there's certain areas in which I know hate me and hate me, but I've been working in Jersey so much at one point, and I'm drinking, and you're giving me a microphone, and I go in the ring in Brooklyn, and then I'm trying to get this sympathy, and they go, fuck you, man, and immediately, and I'm just going, oh, okay, and then I immediately change the course. But I mean, wrestling, it's just fucking weird how it works, and it's weird how, like, you're perceived everywhere, and like, I was trying to say this to you earlier, like, the amount of heat that you'll get when you're doing, like, commentary, and it's like, man, do you look at where those people are from that are giving you shit?
Yeah.
Because that's the reason why they hate you. It's like, that area doesn't like what you say. It's the same, it's like the same as, like, did you really hate Macho Man for wanting, when he turned on Hogan? Because what he saw was Hogan talking to his wife,
Dude, the way they told that story made it Hogan the heel. Like, it's not even subtle. Hogan, while at first
Hogan literally wanted to
intentions,
fuck his best friend's wife.
Hogan was at first good
Freak came off.
intention, but then he went way too far. He went too far, brother. And with Mach, you got to be accommodating. Like, he's a unique, highly volatile individual.
Right. And also, he turned around and saw it at the worst times, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, shit, dude.
But
and then fans,
he
you
couldn't
know,
turn
obviously
around
now
and
he's
see it if Hogan wasn't doing it. He couldn't turn around and see it if Hogan wasn't doing it. Just
right.
like Hogan wasn't there when Paul Orndorff called him at the gym. Where was he?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole fucking thing. But, you know, anyway, that was one thing. I feel like I just went off the rails there. But I did. And you know what? That's like the whole point. The more I realize, like, this show is like, oh man, it starts off like if I don't like, not with you, but like if I don't know the person, you know, I don't know them very well. We start off and I'm popping this bottle, right? And we're kind of getting, you know, hitting a couple things. That's why I always give you a little rundown of like little points that I want to talk about, you know, and because I don't want any fat. I don't want to be that fucking podcast. I'm sure you've been on them. It's those like 3-hour ones where they didn't write dick. They didn't write anything. And then they're just like, so, you know, you're a wrestler.
Tell me about
you know?
this.
And you're like, Jesus Christ. And then
Remember that time you fell down?
end it. And then you have to end it. And you have to be like, all right, guys, well, hey, thanks for having me. You know, I'm going to get the fuck out of here.
Check out my social media.
Yeah. Oh, man. I just wanted to touch on a couple more things because, like, anyway, now that the wine has definitely hit me and I'm realizing that this is 14 or 15% alcohol by volume. And I just drank the whole bottle. Now everybody, like, I feel like anybody that really wants to listen to my podcast, they're going to enjoy it. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to enjoy it when they go to the 45-minute mark and then they go, oh, this is where he's going to start saying some shit.
Yeah, this is on that new YouTube trend thing. You can just see the big spike will be at the 48-minute mark.
Yeah. Oh my God. I wanted to ask you about some of the heat that you have with certain wrestlers. And then I wanted to kind of I wanted to end it with that and I had one other question because I just kind of going a little long.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on everything. I just wanted to say I'm not aware of one professional wrestler that I have heat with, but I'm all open to questions.
I will name them. And I will name them because I only listened to a clip and it was Disco Inferno, who is a bitch, by the way. Disco Inferno is a bitch, dude. And he's been one for years. I don't like Disco Inferno. I got this one spot in which the guy that I wrestle, his name is Nate, and I'm good friends with him. He gave me a buckle bomb 8 million times, but this one time his dreads got in the way, and he's like, kid, I can't see. I'm like, dude, you're fine. I said that, and he accidentally threw me out of the ring, right? And I broke my collarbone earlier in the match, and then I broke my wrist. That happened. That was a thing that happened. Whatever. He posted it on his thing, and he was like, reckless wrestling bullshit, and he went all over this thing, and I was like, if I ever see him, I'm gonna punch him in the fucking throat. Like he judged this just solely for his stupid show because he's worthless. Like, I don't know how he wrestled in WCW for so long, but there's nobody that bought tickets to Nitro to see Disco Inferno. I don't believe it. And if they did, they still think Disco isn't dead. All right, and that's it. But the other one was
exactly
Conan.
merchandised. Again, you said I had beef with wrestlers or whatever.
No, not you. I said the heat on you with wrestlers.
Okay, I didn't know either of those guys were wrestlers. When was the last time they wrestled?
Yeah, they I guess they're agents. And I guess Disco Inferno is nothing. He's just a
Well, I don't know.
He's a fan.
I was reading this week on the internet that Charles, the promoter from AAA, was telling on an interview or whatever, telling Tony Khan how to draw a television rating when Charles drew 3,000 fans to a 20,000 seat building for a show featuring FTR and then all the talent of AAA. And it's like, how are you in a position to talk shit to Tony Khan, who's made so much more inroads, started from nothing, and as far as a wrestling infrastructure, obviously he has resources, but from a structural system to where he is now, you're telling him how to draw a rating, and you can't draw over 3,000 fans.
Yeah, it's like DJ saying, like DJI telling you, how wrestling works, and like how like Batista took his fucking moveset, and that's why he's famous. Like I remember that clear as day, and I'm not even getting into that, but yeah, I don't know.
It's
man.
like to me, it's sad. It's sad when people have such a miserable life that their only spark and claim to fame is to try to hate on, shit on, and be critical as observers of everyone that's shining and doing their fucking thing. If you made a list of the 100 most important people in wrestling, where would Tony Khan be on that list, and where would Charles the promoter be on that list? You know what I mean? Tony Khan is a revolutionary in the sense of what no one has ever done, what he's done in wrestling in the time allotted. It's never been done. And
what do you mean it's something he hasn't done, that has never been done?
Meaning that someone created a new wrestling brand that has like the network television deals, that has 2 primetime shows on 2 different networks, and is a wrestling entity with like a major video game in development and the big figure line. Like, they came from nothing to we're in the wrestling space to we are.
I believe the person that once owned the Braves did that. His name is Teddy Turner. Have you ever heard of that?
But
what you just described, if I heard that,
Ted Turner purchased World Champion, or Ted Turner purchased the Jim Crockett Promotions and changed the name of it to World
guess if you
Championship
really
Wrestling.
that, I mean,
Tony Khan
could have just did it.
Said, yeah, Tony Khan was like, this person and this woman and this man and this person, all these people.
Okay, I got it.
I'm saying he didn't buy an infrastructure or a.
I know what you mean. He didn't buy it and then just give somebody else. He didn't just give somebody else a checkbook and then say go for it. I get it. Tony he's a fan.
And to be fair to Impact Wrestling, TNA, they were a one time a week television show, but there was a time though where they were drawing a rating that television shows now would be happy to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were definitely doing their thing.
Dude, it's the reason why wrestling fans or fandom is like it gets more credit. It's like, hey, don't sleep on this fucking audience. This is like its own demographic. Wrestling fans, like, man, they are loyal. But you know what? They're not. They are like Eagles fans. They love the team, but then they love the player until they don't, and then they say fuck the player,
right? And those are some
team, but they keep watching.
And those are some people, yes, for sure. And there are some people that are just die hard, true blue, whatever. But now you see it, like, it blows my mind. Like, to me, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, whatever, she's fucking awesome. She's been awesome. She's over. She's talented. She's charismatic. She has a connection with the people that's not common in any way, shape, or form. The same people that would be like, I stand for you. Now they're all like, fuck you, you ungrateful bitch, and all this terrible shit. And it's like, she's still awesome. Like, whether you agree with what her business dealings with, if she had a disagreement with someone in business, that means you judge who she is as a person or a performer, or what are you talking about?
That's that behind the scenes person, man, that wants to know about it. Like, they want to know. We go on about this forever, but the only reason, if this was 1997, they wouldn't look at it like that. That would be Rick Rude showing up on Nitro. That's it. That's what it is. And like, that's what's cool, and that's not even something that was appreciated until like now, like, man, did you realize that Rick Rude was on Raw, pre-recorded, then he was on fucking Nitro, the live show, and he fucking did that. There's no real difference between that and then what's happening with with her is that, oh man, but now we know way too much about her life, you know, and that
Right.
affects her character.
But then once it's out, because they put it out, you know, WWE released it as a statement or whatever when it happened that they left or whatever. But in a way, if you're a fan and you're a true believer of the, you know, the art of pro wrestling and the spirit of creativity and improv and all that, if she felt in such a way that she was creatively restricted, whatever her feelings were, whatever they were to her as a person, if she felt that, like others before her have, that she needed to not be a part of this anymore, I can't disrespect her decision. I can't disregard her decision. That's her decision. There's other people there that love it and wouldn't leave like that. I don't mean like that, meaning wouldn't leave. And there's other people, whatever. But it's like I can't judge her or her experience. I can only judge her as a fan and to say she's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like I'm not mad. I can't be mad at anyone, regardless. You know what I'm saying? It's like same thing with Young Bucks and CM Punk. Like I think all those teams, people, it's all awesome. They're all awesome.
Dude, there's a reason why they're in the limelight, man. Like there's a reason. Is because their talent is appreciated, and really, you know, you're not like, you know, different than me. Is that I focus on the negatives all the fucking time. That's literally what I almost like that's what I want to see is the negative. Like when I have a match and somebody comments on her, it's on like Wrestle Cage or some shit. And then I get these little reviews and I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I definitely vanity search myself and I look at it and I see, oh man, he's a good guy. He's getting underutilized, blah blah blah, this and that. And I go, that's appreciated. And I'm like, I really appreciate it. And if it wasn't there, I would be upset. However, it is there, and so I don't appreciate it enough. But then when I see that fucking negative comment, I want to know.
A negative
I
comment
want to know
from a weirdo.
Yeah, from a weirdo. I want to know who that person is, what his family is doing. Like I want to know everything about his life, you know, and like that is it. And that's like how bad it is of me as a person. It's like when we go back to the lottery thing, it's like I want to double down on whatever it is that he doesn't like about me, because I want him to fucking despise me, because he wrote this negative review about me, like this negative comment, you know, whatever. I like, he went out of his way to write that because he didn't like me. I don't want him to not like me. I want him to fucking hate me. Like,
right. To carve
I had a
your
fan
name
that
into a
almost,
bullet.
oh, I had a fan that, you know, when you could kind of do it, I kind of was a little wrong. I was, I called him Peter Griffin. I said he looked like Peter Griffin, and
Okay.
this was 4 years ago, and he had planned to bring something so that when I was coming out to the ring next and stab me. Yeah. And like in my head, I'm like, man, I watch wrestling all the time. That is the heat I want. And then this girl that I was dating at the time, she goes, that is not the heat that you want. That's the heat you think you want until you get stabbed.
Yeah. Until you get stabbed in an armory.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And like, you know, and the promotion doesn't have, you know, medical attention. Like, and you're like, oh.
They don't even have medical intentions.
Yeah. So they did that. You know, they had security around them and all that shit. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, oh man, you know, if he stabbed me, I'd be the biggest heel on the fucking planet, or I'd be dead. I mean, it's either one, you know.
One thing, if I could say to put it out on a positive tip, since we aired out like haters or whatever or roasted them, I have been contacted by haters who resigned their hating ways. I have had people be like, you know what? I've ripped on you for years on the internet because you say you're about positivity, but I was always like, fuck you. But they're like, then I realized that it wasn't you, it was me. You know what I mean? And they're like, now today I'm like a little bit better from this lesson I learned. You know what I mean? And those are the things again. Like one of those is worth 1,000 tweets that are from like 100 accounts from by 10 people. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, it is. And
Except
the
you have to
reason is,
half or third those numbers to scale for what it is.
dude,
But yeah, you know what
the
I'm saying.
reason it is because like the fuck. I think of it like John Cena. It's like, dude, John Cena was hated the majority. Your
So
friend,
hated.
the
You know who else was
majority of his
hated?
entire career. But now that he's older, he's been there for so long.
Now he's a god.
Now he's a god, and the same
You
thing's gonna
know, you
happen to
know who?
Roman.
Sorry, you know who was so hated, and it's ironic to me to see, and I'm very sorry that he passed, and I'm so glad to see so many people now finally remember him. But people used to shit on fucking Don West being on commentary. The internet back in the day, the early internet was not happy about Don West. They wanted to
Yeah,
complain about Don West and yada 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 yada. But history has proven Don West a valued contributor. His energy, his enthusiasm, his unique thing, his energy made stuff more important. But at the time, a lot of loudmouth fucking J-Brones shit on him at the time. So much so that they fucking took him off commentary. But they don't talk about that anymore. And I don't mean they as in anyone specific. I mean they, the general
as a
internet
whole, yeah.
wrestling community.
Dude, that
It's
is
not a
it,
knock. It's not a knock on Impact Wrestling.
dude. That is literally how what time does. It's like when you're in, you you know, there are those that have immediate fame, like an MJF, uh, and that's great, and he knows how to handle it, and he's so talented. And I like him. I'm friends with him,
He's extremely talented.
and
He's also
and
a
he is a
fucking
good guy.
terrible person.
He can be
Terrible person.
he he has sparks of being genuine, and then you realize it just makes you question it, and you're constantly questioning the genuineness. But
Oh,
yeah,
he's very talented.
and that's it, and that's why he's a fucking star, But
A
and
mega
that's
star.
the argument against us talking about why don't you just be real. It's like, because maybe that person that's being real is also smart enough to realize that they're wrong, and they know that they're wrong in the eyes of others. However, they they're just they just play the right part. Anyway, I don't know, but I had one final thing for you because I didn't realize we were talking this long. We just had a good old time, didn't we?
We went hard in the paint on the boat.
I just wanted to know, like, right now I know you're doing a lot of commentary for a lot of different promotions. Do you have any future projects with music? I mean, everything, because one of the things that I when I was, reading up on you, even though we're friends, it's like, man, I'm doing research on somebody that I'm friends with. However, I don't know their entire life, and you did soundtrack for like Tomb Raider, like things like that blows my mind. I watched a part of a documentary that you were in 1995. Sorry,
Dude, that whole documentary is fire.
And
whole documentary is fire.
yeah, it is.
It
It was
builds
really
too.
good,
Like keep
and it was
watching
like
it because
it was.
it builds. It
It's
builds
it's
as it goes.
1995, and like and it holds up in that scene. I wanted to. We have to do another one because I wanted to ask you about things not just wrestling related. I want to talk about music, like the hardcore punk scene
yeah.
in New York. And from like 1990, like how it was like 95 to how it is to now, how you look at it, your views on it, and all that. But I wanted to know, like what your other things that you're working on besides wrestling and commentary, like other things that you're working on now or anything that you have in the future. I wanted to know, tout it, whatever.
Well, I mean, one thing that I've had in the pipeline for a long time, and it's overdue to come out, so I have to just endeavor to do it, is the reissue of Shutdown. Shutdown, also from 1995, It's their groundbreaking EP. It's a Brooklyn straight edge band. They were the Brooklyn Youth Crew, so they were very young kids out on the straight edge path in life. And I had a lot of bands on my record label that, were prolific weed smokers or drinkers, just partiers in general. So I love the diversity of having representation from all the different lifestyles, because to me, they're all equally valid. And I love that a person could be smoking a blunt and the next guy next to him is drinking a 40, and the person over there is straight edge. You know what I mean? And everyone's hanging out and at the same show and doing their thing together. I love that. Because you kind of learn to appreciate and respect other people's perspectives when you can be around them. And if you ever wake up after being super drunk one night, you probably are like, man, that straight edge guy saves so much money. He has so many less calories. You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah.
So much more hydrated than I am.
I'm so jealous of them. I am so fucking jealous of them.
Yeah.
That oh God.
Oh.
I'm like, oh wow, did you go to the gym at 6 a.m.? I think I just went to bed, and I miss out on the day. Oh God.
Well, check out I have a website, dignifiedbastard.com, and there's nothing up there about the shutdown reissue now, but I'm gonna have to just get that rolling. That'll be a 12-inch vinyl reissue, and then it'll be digital. It's already remastered and all that shit by a guy who worked on a bunch of Rancid records and shit like that. And it'll be on Spotify and all that bullshit. But of course, please just buy the vinyl or the iTunes version or the Amazon version or whatever. But Shutdown, Turning the Tide, Brooklyn Youth Crew, and I have other great reissues. You can check out Vision of Disorder. The vinyl's long gone, but their record's still their stunning debut that changed the game. That's available on all streaming platforms. The Six in Violence, their complete discography, Bastards of the Universe. There's others I'm not thinking of, and there's more to come. And a bunch of great commentary stuff, like companies we talked about earlier. And who knows, man? I'm here. I'm back in New York, and I want to do cool shit, and I want to just continue to deliver the goods and try to be successful in the game. And sometimes, I guess, you have different people backing you or not backing you. But the thing I try to make constant is that, I've got to work with Rockstar Games, with IDOS Interactive, with Insane Clown Posse, with Game Changer
That's
Wrestling.
fucking badass.
With other companies, I'm forgetting, even Disney, and the constant in it to me is, yes, I've had all Vice, all these great Villain, all these great companies I got to work with, but the consistent part was whether or not I was working with them, I continued to move forward. You know what I mean? I never stopped.
Yeah.
Saints Row, I always continued to move forward.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Other people may change or whatever. I'll try to always evolve and be better, and we could always improve or whatever. But I'm kind of always been the same. Like, I'm not caught up in any bullshit. I'm just ready to deliver the goods, be a team player. Let's raise the fucking bar and let's put people fucking over. No fucking weirdos. Kid Osborne and KG killing the fucking game all day. Beaujolais wine, grapes, stomped on by feet, calloused, purple, but delivering a purple nectar of the gods that intoxicates our minds. And now here we are, 247 minutes into the broadcast. Uh-oh. I thought you... That's hilarious. I thought Kid Osborne was just frozen in awe, but instead, he is just frozen.